Good late morning versus good afternoon. I appreciate all of you being here today. Really excited for this season. I'm going to my fourth year. And so with that being said, we've had 3 strong recruiting classes underneath us. I think you'll find that our veteran players have a good understanding of what it is that we're looking for, what it is that we're looking to do. Something a little bit different from the past is we're looking to be a little bit more aggressive defensively, not necessarily press, for 40 minutes, but definitely get after it a little bit more defensively. It's something we're looking to do, as well as get back to our scoring roots. We struggled in that area last year. We weren't able to put up the points that we wanted to, and I think we're going to find them from a number of different places. And so I think right now for us is just making sure our kids are mentally and physically fit as we head into November is really important for us. I've got 2 new members on my staff, which is really exciting. I think that also changes the dynamic of your team somewhat. I have a new staff member by the name of Brandy Manning. I've known Brandy for quite some time. When I was at the University of Louisville as an assistant coach, he was a graduate assistant there, and I've just had an opportunity to watch him grow as an assistant coach. Last he was at USC as the associate head coach there, and now he's here with us at Texas State, so I feel fortunate to have him and his wife and his kids with us. As well as I have a new coach by the name of Stephanie Stoglin-Reed. Her father is Coach Stoglin, a very well-known men's basketball coach who's now retired, somewhat semi-retired. I think he coaches one of the Mexican national teams. So it's really fun to insert 2 new personalities for our young women here at Texas State. And as always, I've always loved Texas because it's home, but I've really just enjoyed being here in Central Texas. I've really enjoyed Texas State, and every year I'm here it just reaffirms why I'm here, and the mission I have is ultimately to make sure that I'm able to, help these young women, mentor these young women, and make sure that we find a way to win a championship, because that's always the goal every year. We opened up practice and we talked about that. I have a quote every single week, and this week all of our quotes are related to championships. And we started with one by Nick Saban, who, quite funny, one of our younger players said, "Oh, he's the greatest coach ever." I said, "You know what, we'll debate that after practice." But we did use this quote today about championship teams and how no matter how big the hole is, that, if they have adversity, they still find a way to get back up and fight together. And so I thought that was fitting for our vision this year of what the children want, I should call them children, these young women want. And that is to win a championship. So every day, no matter how difficult it is, we're fighting to get to that place, whenever that may be. Last year we started out rough, 1-8, but I always had a good feeling about where we would be. And those young women worked hard. We picked 9th and ended up finishing tied for 3rd and had postseason play. And I can also say I've always had that confidence in that group. I'm still trying to determine right now exactly where we are because, of course, practice just started for us yesterday. And what it is that this group needs to do in order to win a championship. I think I'll feel much better about that about 4 or 5 weeks from now and kind of be able to answer those questions within myself and our staff before we move forward. And with that being said, I'll open it up for questions.
Coach, yeah. What are your thoughts on your schedule? Obviously, the Sun Belt is off on the horizon, but the schedule as a whole.
I think it's balanced. That's what I like about it. We have an opportunity to go to Texas Tech and to Oklahoma State. At Oklahoma State, my first time around, the kids fought hard, and I really appreciate Coach Littleman there. He said he really appreciated that game because it taught him a lot. Ultimately, their WNBA player took over, and she did a phenomenal job rebounding, and it was a tough game for us. But to look forward to going up against a top 25 team within the Big 12 of their home court is going to be a lot of fun for our players. I think the Texas Tech game is they're in a growing mode as well. So it'll be interesting to see how our kids respond in that particular game because it's our second game of the year. It's our first Division I opponent, and we start out on the road. I think that'll be a great test as well because they also are going through some changes with the new coach, some changes within their staff, some changes within their own program, just trying to see where they are early as well, really test our team, have the opportunity to go in there and steal one away. Outside of that, we have some opponents we've played in the past, but opponents that we have not beat. And one of those is Lamar. We lost them at their place last year. We have an opportunity to bring them home, which is great. We get to go back to UTSA, and we always love that rivalry. We have Houston Baptist, who we definitely owe one to. We have a lot of local opponents that we're familiar with, but there's always a story there, I think, that will help motivate us or push us over the top that'll really help us prepare for ultimately the Sun Belt Conference.
You're a lot different team this year. Last year was very post-oriented. This year you have 3 guards that can do different things. Talk about the different mindset that you have as a team this year, the way it's structured right now.
I think the biggest change is what I started out with for us is the fact that we're going to be a lot more up-tempo on both ends of the floor. I think that's what you're going to find. Funny, I ran into Coach Casper yesterday. I said, Coach, I need to talk to you about some things defensively. He just had a big smile because we all know how much Coach Casper loves defense. Just want to run some things by him. I think we're in the right place right now as far as what the vision is. I think the team has bought into the fact that we are a different look. It's still yesterday practice was different because for all the veterans, they were used to, like you said, more of an atmosphere that revolved around a different style of play, maybe not necessarily post play. And so now I think what you'll find is that we're going to be able to move the ball quickly, both ways. And I would say that's probably the biggest change for us. The offense isn't going to change. What we do doesn't change. I think because of the way we run this particular offense, we can run multiple players at multiple positions. But where those points are generated will be different for us.
How much do you think that running gun kind of upping the tempo will affect the defense now that they'll have to defend more often per game?
Say that again, Sam.
How do you think the running gun offense will affect the defense now that they'll have to defend more possessions per game?
I'm part of that right now is the early stages of making sure that we're in condition, so I can kind of gauge where this team is at, mentally, going up against opportunities where they're going to be a little bit more physical with us, and we're going to have to get after them. And again, we're not looking to be an all-out pressing team, but we definitely will need to pick it up in transition as far as our ability to be able to get the ball off the rebound and go down and score. I think they'll be fine. It's just a matter of getting your bodies adjusted. It's still pretty early in the preseason. And again, it just depends on player personnel, who can function at a high level when you're fatigued.
Coach, could you talk about some of the pieces you do have coming back, Aaron and Megan, and the role they'll have in
We are guard heavy. We are pretty guard heavy from that standpoint. I think there's a lot of positives we have. The nice thing about Megan, this started from the beginning of Megan's recruitment. We recruited Megan not necessarily just for her skill, but for the fact that she's a tough kid. She comes from a good family, and she did a great job when she was at Midland of taking her team to the JUCO Nationals. And so we need that type of tenacity to carry us forward. We're going to need her to increase her leadership for us as well to take us to a place where we can even compete for a championship. Ariel is still growing, as all of y'all know. You see her, she wears her emotions on her sleeve, and every day we're getting closer and closer to that point where she's truly showing leadership. I think in that area, Megan has been great helping her. But Ariel's still going to be who Ariel is. She's a basketball player. She loves to be in the gym. She's going to do everything she can. If her team needs her, come heck or high water, she's going to be there. She's going to knock down the free throws. So we're really excited to have that piece back. She's a bit of a spark plug for us. Of course, Erin Peoples is probably one of our hardest workers. Yesterday, we had some sprints, and I would tell you Megan and Erin finished at the front every single time. She just lays it all out there. She's that X factor, I think. She's a player who's a swing player who could play multiple positions for us, and I think that makes the offense more fun at times for people to watch, as well as more difficult for defenses to guard. And honestly, in addition to that, Caitlin Walla, as a freshman, saw a fair amount of minutes. The thing that I like about Caitlin is when she's not scoring, as you know, there was a game she had 9 assists. She'll find other ways because she really wants to win. And she's a young woman who's not only been MVP, but she's won a state championship, and that wasn't too long ago. And so I think for her, that hunger's there, that want's there. And I know, that last loss, she talked a lot about it, that she just wanted more. And that comes from kids that have won and that understand that. So our guard group is strong. I would say as a core group, they're probably right now ahead of the rest of the team. That's a good thing, and it should be that way. Jacqueline and Kalia Mays, 2 of our transfer kids, they're developing well for us. The question right now is, is Jacqueline going to play a little bit more back to the basket for us, or is she going to be facing up? Because we do have some other kids who can face up as well now. We didn't have that before. So it's a matter of her just kind of battling and figuring out where she falls into play. The thing that I like about Jacqueline within this senior year so far that we've had is that Jacqueline is doing a good job of giving it great effort, which is one of the things that I've talked to her about in the past, is she needs to give this team more effort. And one of the things I have seen is she's given more effort. Been hampered a little bit, her foot's been bothering her, so there's times where she can't. But the times she can, I do see her encouraging her teammates, I do see her get out there. So I've been pleasantly happy with Jacqueline Jeffcoat and kind of where she is. I think Kalia Mays is the kid that's been sitting behind Ashley Eze, for quite some time, and I think she's ready to come into her own. She's, physically phenomenal. She's a kid who can rebound the heck out of the ball. It's just a matter of getting her to finish. Ashley Eze had quite a bit of savvy, even though she's definitely not as explosive. She's not athletic at all, around the rim, and just developing that piece of Kalia's game and getting her confidence level up is going to be really important for us because we need an anchor. We've got a young freshman too by the name of Tiara Pitts, who's pretty darn good. She can face up and she can play back to the basket. She's young, but I'm really excited about her. I think long term, Tierra Pitts is going to be a force within our conference for sure. So, but I'm excited. I am.
Do you have an idea of who's going to be some of your toughest opponents in the Sun Belt Conference?
I think the top of the team, top tier that were last year for sure. I would say, Arkansas Little Rock has always Joe's done a great job with his team. Arkansas State, for sure. They're returning the all-conference player Andrew Gamble. I think that Troy is going to be better. Georgia State's still going to be at the top of the conference. Appalachian State's been pretty good in the past. They have a new coach now. They just hired her last week. She's actually a friend of mine. But they'll have a new head coach. I'm not quite sure yet about Georgia Southern, kind of where they fall. I know they've struggled, but they have a new head coach as well. But I would say the top would definitely be the Arkansas schools for sure. And there's some other challengers, And there's always teams that just play tough, just tough for us. I would say UTA is generally one of those. I think eventually it's going to turn into a natural rivalry for us. It's not just yet. And then South Alabama for us. They have a new head coach, but I think they got 9 new players as well, and they did a good job recruiting some JUCO kids that are pretty darn good.
You're coming close last year, getting to the semifinals, you think of the tournament, do you think there's a little bit of unfinished business for the team?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I think that's probably the mantra quite a few of them are taking on. When I was speaking earlier about Caitlin Wall, I think Killian Mays is another one. They definitely felt that was not only just a winnable game, but, and I'm talking about when we were at Stephen F. Austin, but that they can do it, and that's what you need to carry with you. There's something you got to carry with you as an athlete, wherever that motivation comes from. And as a team right now, I think that's what it is. They're believers that they can do it. It's just between now and then getting yourself prepared mentally.
Coach, good record, an excellent record at home, actually, a little up and down on the road. What are the things you noticed about the team that seemed to affect them when they were playing outside of Strahan, and is there anything you're doing with the offseason to kind of adjust it?
I think what you'll find is, we're finally going to a situation that all coaches here at Texas State are going through that, where we're within the same conference. I think that does make a difference because now, as a student athlete, you're prepared for whatever the weather changes are, where you're going to sleep, where you're going to eat. All those things affect a student athlete's life. I think if you take a look at how travel works out and where we travel to, I tell people all the time, probably of the 3 conferences we're in since I've been here, the WAC was the most difficult because dealing with altitude for student athletes was very difficult. Dealing with time changes, you'll rarely see me go out west. I don't like to deal with time changes. It just, for whatever reason, it mentally affects them, regardless of how we feel about it, and trying to make adjustments as coaches. So I think that's part of playing on the road. The other thing is, Texas, there's something about being from Texas and having Texas State players here, understanding when you're at home that it's family, it just feels good. We've done a good job. Our marketing department's done a great job. The administration has. We're doing a better job of getting more students to our games. I think that makes a difference as well when you play in front of your own people. It makes it a lot of fun. And so I think that plays into it. I think that's multi-layered, to be honest with you. But for sure, on-the-road travel for a student athlete, there are a lot of different things that kind of go into the mental psyche. And part of it, too, is just travel alone. We're not in a situation where we get to charter many flights. We do charter some. But when you deal with flight delays, because, they're student athletes who got to go to class. By the time you get on a plane, you're talking about a 4 o'clock flight. For most of us that travel, anything to me after 2 o'clock, there's going to be a delay. And so if we're supposed to leave at 6 now, we're not leaving till 10. And we got into Arkansas State, I want to say like at 1 o'clock or at midnight, something crazy. So then we had a game the next day at 2. We just got done playing Western Kentucky at home. It's tough. So like I said, there's a lot of different variables that go into travel.
How do you feel about the doubleheader format that the Sun Belt is going to?
I really enjoy the Saturday doubleheaders. I think going doubleheaders on Thursdays makes it difficult for women's basketball just because we play before. It's very difficult for people to get off of work and get to games on time, pick up their families, things of that nature. It makes it pretty tough. But I'm definitely excited about the Saturday games. I think it makes it really nice for fans, for family, for students. It's a great setup on a weekend.
Last year, you kind of touched about how your team was very inexperienced last year. They're going through some growing pains. Now that they have another year under their belt, what do you expect from them?
My expectation level is that they're going to understand the offense and be able to mentor some of our younger ones. We're pretty balanced, I want to say. We have 6 upperclassmen, juniors and seniors, and we have 7 underclassmen with our freshman and sophomore class. And so the thing that I'm looking for from them is a clear understanding of what it is that we do offensively so we can move a little bit faster, so we can start to advance in other areas that we'd like to, for sure.
You did very guarded coming into the season. How will that affect your defense in the post?
Well, the thing, if you take a look at the Sun Belt Conference overall, there aren't very many dominant post players. And as we take a look at our recruiting, we've made a bit of a shift as well, to be honest with you. I'm not so dead set anymore on kids my height or bigger. You don't need that to win in this conference. If you take a look at the blueprint set before by Joe at Little Rock, as a matter of fact, you can take a look at a lot of mid-majors in women's basketball. A lot of times you'll find those 4 players are guards. I mean, they're guards that can stretch the floor, that can put it on the floor. So for me, it's actually exciting. In some ways, as long as a young woman comes in and understands, no, you're not a post player, but we're going to be able to, there's things we're going to be able to do that you're going to be able to do to help this team being a little bit more guard oriented, being able to face up and place them back to the basket. I think you'll find within the conference itself, they have a big kid at Georgia State. And outside of that, there's no real dominant kid, I can say. In the post, we had the dominant big, to be honest with you. But the teams at the top tier, you don't necessarily have to have a dominant inside game where a kid's just big, bruising. As long as she's effective enough to help you get rebounds, score when you give her the ball, I think there's ways within our offense that we're going to be okay. That's a fair question.
What are your biggest priorities from now until tip-off? If you had to
Mental and physical fitness. That's my biggest priority right now. And so a lot of the X's and O's for us, and the coaches see it on the practice plan, it's kind of tabled because we have a veteran team. My expectation levels are going to be able to talk our players through. And they did some yesterday, to be honest with you. There's certain things I appreciated that they kind of brought to the table for the younger ones. So right now it's the mental and physical toughness, because I think that's what championship teams have. And that's what it's going to take in order to sustain a long season. So right now we're working on the physical and mental piece. We worked on a little bit in the preseason. We're going to continue to do that all the way up to November until we're in a place where I know that no matter what challenge is thrown at them on the road, whether it be we get in somewhere at 1 o'clock in the morning or the official just missed a call, whatever that might be, we're ready to handle that adversity and continue to push forward and just figure out a way to play, which I think probably for most of us coaches and parents alike and people that mentor this particular generation can be a bit of a challenge sometimes. Is just trying to help them figure out a way through adversity and them knowing that, you can do this. Just trust us right now. We're going to help you get there.
Coach, you spoke of having a veteran team. Kind of early to tell now, but is there anyone you're expecting to get leadership from before the season's all said and done? Is there someone there?
Well, I think there's different forms of leadership. We talked about that, Mark, on our staff. I think right now, like I said before, my expectation level probably is strongest on Megan because of how we recruited her, as far as doing the right thing all the time and knowing what to do. But outside of that, there are different people. Erin Peoples is one that I look for her leadership to constantly go hard. She's not a kid who's going to, be hooping and hollering in people's face. It's not her personality. I would never ask that from her. But I do ask that, she mentors in that way. We have other young women who are really good academically. They never miss a beat. They're always on time. I'm looking for leadership from there. Because we don't have a clear cut-out leader at this point, it's important that we have young women that they can look to who are strong in those particular areas, who are also doing pretty darn good on the basketball floor as well, to help mentor them to get us all into one good place, which is fun about being in a team sport.